Welcome into the 7th episode of Kent and Coad, serving the hottest and coldest takes in Vandy Sports Radio. I'm Bobby Kent, alongside Nathan Coad. Mark Delastrita will be back next week. Wherever you are listening, we are excited to have you. Let's dive right into the top stories of a rather somber time in sports. Our top story of the week, you hate to ever have to hear these words come out of your mouth, or my mouth. Kobe Bryant was killed in a helicopter crash on Sunday. He was with his oldest daughter, Gianna, who's 13, she was also killed. They were on the way to her basketball practice, one of her travel team games. On a lighter note, the outpouring of support and notes from around the NBA and world was really impressive and nice to see. In honor of Kobe Bryant, we're going to take a 24-second moment of silence. What I thought was really impressive about the whole NBA community is that you heard so many different players say and talk about how Kobe Bryant touched their lives and that the advice that he gave them, the Mamba mentality, they will never forget that or let go of it. I thought it was really also nice that the teams decided to take 24-second shot clock violations and then 8-second, half-court, backcourt violation. It gives you sort of optimism that the world is a good place in the times like this, and I thought that was really great to see amidst tragedy.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. Kobe kind of transcends sports for a lot of people, and he's obviously a lot more than a basketball player. And I think what you saw him do post-retirement was what he enjoyed the most, with spending time with his family.
Being a father,
winning an Academy Award,
writing books.
Yeah,
and in his second career was almost going to be as impressive as his first career.
Yeah, and just cut short in a.
41 is way too young.
That's really young.
And
that's really
for
young.
His daughter too.
Well, I think the thing that's so shocking for a lot of people is I think people just felt like Kobe was immortal.
Yeah,
because he was just such a legend of the sport and so iconic. And I think in a way he is immortal because he does transcend sports and he does transcend time, and his impact off the court was probably, well, I don't want to say bigger than his impact on the court because he was such an 18-time All-Star and a 5-time champion, but
one of the greatest players ever.
Yes, one of the greatest players of all time. And I also think a lot of the things that you're seeing, one of the biggest things that you're seeing is people trying to appreciate greatness more as opposed to debate greatness and to just take in everything while you can, because this just came out of the blue. The night before this, everyone was talking about LeBron passing Kobe on the scoring list, and LeBron's post-game interview that he gave is really chilling now. Because he was talking about how much Kobe had impacted him as a player and what it meant to him to pass him on the scoring list. And then literally like less than 24 hours later, Kobe's not even here. So I think it's kind of a shock to everyone. It's hard to process for everyone, and it'll take a long time to heal. But yeah, it's difficult, I think, for especially for people like us who've grown up watching.
And he's part of our childhood. He was part of our generation of basketball players that we saw. And to your point about the fact that he transcended time, I think a really interesting story was from Mike Breen when he was calling a Knicks game. He told a story about when he was covering USA basketball. I forget where they were, some country for a tournament. And he talked about that he got into a cab with his driver who couldn't really speak English very well. But he saw that Mike Breen was wearing a USA basketball, a jacket or something, and then said to him, he was like, USA basketball? And he's like, yeah. He's like, they're playing in a couple days. And he goes, Kobe Bryant? And he goes, yes, Kobe Bryant's on the team. And he goes, Kobe's amazing or something. He's like, I know him. I've talked to him to cover him. He goes, you know Kobe Bryant? And then he started crying. This man who had never even met Kobe Bryant, but was crying because he met someone who knew Kobe Bryant. So it's like this guy Kobe transcended through people and transcended through time, and it was more than just definitely than a basketball player. He was an icon for a lot of people, and also back to the Mamba mentality. I think a lot of young players such as like a Devin Booker or Trae Young or numerous guys around the league all say that they modeled their mentality of never take a play off. You never want to let something get you down. You never want to let something stop your attacking mindset. A lot of these younger players have modeled their games off of him, and you remember when he would on Twitter he would post like at Giannis or something. He'd say, "I challenge you to be MVP next season," or the players, he represented that role of a motivator and a inspirational figure for a lot of players, and it's sad that he's gone.
No, yeah, he was the guy that would respond to everyone's tweets and calls and DMs, and I think that means a lot to younger players. I think that connection that he had with a lot of the younger guys was really unique. Especially considering
what we've seen a lot from players who retire.
No, you've seen a rift generally between the older players and the new guys.
Generally has to do with style of play,
and everything.
And they think they're soft and all that.
Yeah, but Kobe kind of crossed that border, and he wanted to help a lot of young players. And you can see the impact that his style of play has on the modern NBA in terms of kind of scoring guys you get. And
even look at a guy like Jason Tatum. Tatum, mentions it a lot about, Kobe Bryant trying to model his game after him. And how Kobe Bryant did that detail segment on ESPN where he'd break down guys' games, and then those players would have said, I watched Kobe break down my game and I learned X, Y, and Z from it. So, he still was very active in the NBA, and while he wasn't playing anymore, he was still inspiring players and a really big figure. I would have been. It's just a shame that we didn't get to see where his career would have gone next.
Yeah, so. I think his post-retirement impact might have even been greater than what he did on the court, and he was just getting started. And so he transcended all teams too, because the first jersey I had wasn't a Bucks jersey; it was a Kobe Bryant jersey.
Mm-hmm. And wearing his jersey is, even though he's from a different team besides your own, that's respect. I mean, people respected that. It's like, say you were a Clippers fan and you had a Kobe Bryant jersey, that still garnered respect, even though he's against the rival, because he was that transcendent of a player. So it's really unfortunate. This is going to take a long time for a lot of people and a lot of players to get over, and a lot of people connected to the game of basketball. And you heard so many people's stories, but I'm sure there'll be more to come in this next week. And it's really hard. And one thing that this story has done is, rightfully so, but it has overshadowed the Super Bowl. This festival that the NFL puts on of this, mega lights. And like last night, did you even know that the Super Bowl media, like the kickoff night was last night?
No.
No idea. I didn't even know because the story has overtaken it, rightfully so. But it's kind of taken place of this story of this grand celebration that the NFL throws come hell or high water. And let's get into that celebration. The Super Bowl.
49ers, Chiefs.
There's a lot to talk about in this.
There is a lot to break down in this.
And we'll try to do our best right now to break down as much of it as we can.
Yes.
So I think one thing that is always kind of helpful when you talk about a big matchup like this is breaking down positional matchups. Who has the edge in certain positions, and I know people then like to take those and say, okay, if they've won a quarterback, they've won a running back, they've won a defense, then they're going to win the game. That's not necessarily true.
Yes.
But you can still look at individual positions and say, okay, this guy versus this guy, who has the edge. So let's start with quarterback. Who has the edge? Patrick Mahomes is for the Chiefs or Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers?
This is blatantly obvious with Patrick Mahomes. But, this matchup to me isn't that important.
Really?
It's not that important. And I know a lot of people would come screaming at me for that because everyone talks about how important the quarterback is.
Quarterback does run the offense.
You have to factor in.
The first guy to take the snap.
You have to factor in and think about what is each team's style and what does each team try to do the best to win football games. And for the 49ers, it's run the ball well, play defense, and run play action. So all Jimmy Garoppolo has to do is be a game manager, make some throws on play action, and basically just keep enough room for the run game to thrive. He doesn't have to do anything crazy. I mean, you saw it against the Packers. He only threw 8 passes.
Yeah.
So while Mahomes clearly has the edge, and he was an MVP, and he's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, to me, this matchup isn't really that key. Just because of the way the two teams are structured. That's how I feel.
Well, I think it's key for the Chiefs side because Patrick Mahomes is sort of the ultimate playmaker that is able to have a good game while throwing a lot, as like he did against the Titans with 35 pass attempts. And he also can run the ball himself too, and he makes smart decisions. I think it all sort of stems from him with the Chiefs.
Yes,
I agree with your point about Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers that he doesn't necessarily have to win the game for them. It's kind of like the Nick
all he has to do is not lose it. He has to not lose the game.
It's the Nick Foles model that the Eagles used a couple years ago when they won the Super Bowl.
I thought they asked Foles to do more.
Well, in the Super Bowl, in the Super Bowl, he let it loose, which surprised me as a fan.
Yes.
But I'm talking about in the divisional game and in the conference championship game.
That's fair.
They turned him into a player where they said, okay, you don't have to be the reason we win, but you can't be the reason we lose.
Yes.
And that's kind of the reason. That's what's happening with Jimmy Garoppolo. And hey, you could see Jimmy Garoppolo have a really big game because that could be an idea for Kyle Shanahan to say, okay, they expect us to run the ball a lot with Raheem Mostert. They expect us to utilize our wide receivers on quick screens and things like that. Why don't we let Jimmy Garoppolo throw the ball, and that might throw them off a little bit. But it's not really their style. So I don't know if we're going to see that. But it could happen, but I think that's unlikely. So my point, I think Patrick Mahomes is definitely more vital at the quarterback position for the Chiefs than Jimmy Garoppolo is for the 49ers.
Yes,
I think it's very important for the Chiefs.
I would agree with that. My thing is I don't think that one player. My point with this is I don't think one quarterback outplaying the other quarterback is going to be the determining factor in the Super Bowl, which so much of the time you see it. Play out like that.
Well, it's also the narrative that is created so much.
But I don't think Mahomes could throw for 400 yards and Jimmy Garoppolo could throw for 75 yards and the 49ers could still win the Super Bowl. So to me, whoever really wins this, the one thing that could swing it another way is if Jimmy, like you said, if they let Garoppolo let it loose, I think that's the way that the quarterback position could have a huge, huge impact on this game. But based on what we've seen so far this year, I don't think that Mahomes having a crazy game or Jimmy G having a 75-yard game is going to be the determining factor in winning the Super Bowl. To me. Yeah,
I mean, I think always in the Super Bowl you also hear about XFactors potentially coming out. Like we might talk a little bit about what players could be XFactors in this game that are sort of unsung or unheard of, but yeah, I mean, let's actually switch to it. Let's talk right now about the running back matchup, potentially positions that are not the quarterback that are going to impact the game. Who do you think has the edge at running back?
The 49ers, because of depth. You got Mostert, you got Coleman, and you got Matt Breida, who's kind of been forgotten about, I think. And he was the lead back last year, and even though they weren't that good, he had a pretty good season. But you can put any three of those guys in, and you'll still be productive at the running back position. And you saw Raheem Mostert just absolutely destroy the Packers last week. And that basically, the 49ers have a better run game than anyone else in the NFL. And so I mean, the Chiefs' run game isn't bad, but Damian Williams isn't like anything super special to me.
No, he's not. But
he's
he
a
does
good back.
He does what they need for him to do. And also, I don't think you can underestimate the impact that LeSean McCoy is going to have potentially in this game. LeSean McCoy is now 31, and he's definitely not the back that he used to be. In fact, in his last some games that he played this season, he had 16 yards, 39 yards, 10 yards. He only had 465 yards on the season. But I think you can't underestimate the impact that he brings to that team and what he can bring to the young guys and like a Damian Williams. And even though LeSean McCoy has never played in a Super Bowl, he's played in some big games in his career where it was up to him to carry the load. So I think that the importance of LeSean McCoy can't be understated. But I'm going to have to agree with you. I think that the 49ers have this running back, the running backs locked up in terms of who's better. I think the 49ers have the edge there. Let's talk about the pass catchers. I think the Chiefs had the edge in this one. I think that's pretty clear to see. Really?
Okay.
Tyreke Hill.
Tyreke Hill is a lethal weapon.
I'll include. Actually, no.
Hardman.
You want to include what's his name? You want to include Travis Kelce in this right now, or do you want to talk tight
Yeah,
end?
we can include Travis Kelce.
Okay, yeah, he's also a pass catcher.
We'll call it pass catchers, and we'll include Kelce and Kittle. That's fair.
Okay,
that's fair.
I think Travis Kelce is the second best tight end in the game, behind Zach Ertz.
Okay, timeout. First of all, Travis Kelce is the best tight end in the game.
No, he's not.
And George Kittle is the second best tight end in the game.
No, he's not.
Yes, he is.
No.
Yes, he is.
No.
Dude, I know Zach Ertz is good, but Travis Kelce is better than Zach Ertz.
No, Zach Ertz is the best tight end.
Also, why are we getting into Zach Ertz?
Because he's the best tight end in football. You just didn't agree with my claim that Travis Kelce is the second best tight end in football.
He's not.
He is. He's the second best tight end in football.
He's the best tight end in football. How are you going to argue with this?
How can I argue
Kelce's
with this?
A monster.
I can point to Zach Ertz's stats last season when he set the record for the most catches by a tight end in NFL history. He also had over 1,000 yards. This year he had 916 for 88 receptions. Anyway, I could go on, but I think that the Chiefs have the edge in pass catchers, and I think part of that stems from their quarterback, from the fact that Patrick Mahomes can extend plays, can make things happen. I mean, you have Tyreke Hill, who's one of the fastest players on the field. Tyreke Hill, you see a couple times when his running backs have run to the end zone, he catches up with his running backs as he gets to the end zone.
Yeah, well, Tyreke Hill has Olympic speed.
He does. So
yes.
I think that automatically gives them the edge at wide receiver.
You think?
And if you shut him down, Nico Hardman. If you shut him down, you have Mecole Hardman. If you shut down Mecole Hardman, which I think it's very hard to shut down two good fast wide receivers. You have Travis Kelce.
Travis Kelce is unstoppable.
As a safety blanket.
Travis Kelce is unstoppable.
So you agree with me, the Chiefs have the edge in this wide receiver matchup, in this pass catchers matchup.
I think so, but I think the 49ers pass catchers are better than people give them credit for. And I think Deebo Samuel...
Well, we don't ever get a chance to see that because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't throw the ball very much.
No, that's true. That's also true. But Emmanuel Sanders is pretty good.
Okay, Emmanuel Sanders is
he's
way past his prime, but he brings
still
veteran
good.
leadership.
He's still good. Deebo Samuel is good.
Deebo Samuel is good.
Deebo Samuel is very good and very explosive.
Okay.
And then you got Kittle. So I think that the 49ers pass catchers are kind of underrated or not as focused on. And, that's probably justified because they run the ball so much. But I think the Chiefs have the edge. I don't think it's as big as a discrepancy as you think it is. But I also feel like this isn't – I feel like this also isn't that big of a factor. Well, the
wide receivers.
Well, think about it, Bobby.
Look at the llast Super Bowls.
Bobby,
Julian Edelman.
I know. This goes back to the quarterback. Monster. This goes back to the quarterback thing.
Last year, your team, the Patriots, Gronkowski makes that great catch in the end of the otherwise very boring Super Bowl to bring your Patriots to victory. If he doesn't make that catch, we might not be talking about the Patriots as champions.
I know, but this goes back to my point about the styles of offense, right?
Well, he's the wide receivers, again, like the quarterback, are very important for the Chiefs.
Yes,
Patrick Mahomes
and they're not as important.
The ball out
they're not as important
they're
not as important for the 49ers. So, therefore, I don't think that the difference in this matchup is that important to determining the outcome of the Super Bowl, because the Chiefs the Chiefs offense could go off, and you know they're going to throw a lot, and you know they're going to score by throwing the ball, so you expect that. So having better wide receivers doesn't do that much to actually create a big difference in the game. You know what I'm saying? Because you just expect the Chiefs to score a lot of points already with their wide receivers and throwing the ball.
You do.
And you expect the 49ers to score by running the ball. So having an advantage at wide receiver for the Chiefs isn't really that important. Just like the quarterback. Having an advantage at quarterback isn't necessarily that important when you have these styles of offenses. Right? It's important that Patrick Mahomes plays well for the Chiefs, but Patrick Mahomes being much better than Jimmy Garoppolo isn't going to determine the outcome of the game one way or another, to me. It's the same thing with the wide receivers and the tight ends.
I think quarterback plays a very big role in a Super Bowl like this, but in such a big game like this. But let's talk about the defenses that are going to have to stop these guys. Who has the edge on defense?
The 49ers.
I think it's easy to say 49ers.
The 49ers.
But let me take the other side of it.
The Chiefs defense.
Is there an even argument for the Chiefs? The Chiefs are much improved this season.
They are, but they were also coming from the rock bottom from last year.
Well, this year they're third in total defense. In total yards per game, they allow third. I don't know if the 49ers are ahead. They probably are.
But the 49ers defense is elite.
You have Nick Bosa.
The line is elite.
Eric Armstead. You have, what are the other pass rushers?
Richard Sherman.
Richard Sherman at quarterback.
Yeah.
Who's playing at an all-pro level again after having, an Achilles injury and then being washed up and then, potentially being told he's washed up and then, he has really what's the word? He's really rejuvenated his career, resurrected. That's the word.
Yeah, there you go.
Resurrected his career. So I think that gives them a big edge. But the Chiefs' defense has improved,
it's not bad, but it's not.
No, but they're certainly going to be relying on the Chiefs to put up about 35 points in this game to win.
This is the key matchup, because if the 49ers defense can shut down Mahomes in the pass game, I don't think they have much of a run game to go back to. And honestly, the Chiefs are one-dimensional to me. Both of these teams are one-dimensional in opposite ways. Chiefs are one-dimensional in the pass game. The one thing I will say is Mahomes' legs could be huge.
Oh, I heard that. Oh, I thought you were going to say some controversial
No.
I agree with that.
Mahomes' legs could be big because I've seen him start to run more the last few games, like intentionally run more. And this could kind of be, maybe this could be like a Trevor Lawrence type of thing here against Ohio State, because Ohio State had a really elite defense too. And Trevor Lawrence kind of pulled out the quarterback run a lot, and it killed them when they had nothing going in the pass game. So maybe, I don't know, maybe if the Chiefs get stopped in the pass game, they go to Mahomes' legs, which would definitely be an X factor. I think that'll be my X factor. I think my X factor is Mahomes' legs.
Mahomes' running ability?
Mahomes running, not running to throw, him running to run. Because I saw Trevor Lawrence do it to Ohio State, and I've seen Mahomes start to do it the last couple of games. But I think if the 49ers stop the pass game and they don't get much going with Damian Williams, I think maybe you could see Patrick Mahomes tuck it and run, and that could be a huge difference.
My X factor is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to have to throw the ball in this game. I think it's hard to run the ball in the Super Bowl. I think with all the pressure on, I don't know if that three-headed monster that the 49ers have is going to necessarily be able to produce as well as they have. So I really look for Jimmy Garoppolo to try to step up. And I think if the 49ers want to win this game, I think he has to throw for over 200 yards. I don't know. That's a hot take, but I think he does.
Who wins?
Who wins?
Who wins?
Chiefs. Give me
Chiefs.
Chiefs win. And I want the Chiefs to win. Personally, that's my own invested rooting interest, but I do think they're going to win anyway, aside from that. But I want them to win for one reason and one reason only. You probably already know who it is. Andy Reid. This man deserves to win the biggest game in the NFL. He has 221 career victories as head coach, which ranks 6th all-time, and the most of any head coach who has not won a championship. A ring would surely catapult him into not only Canton, but the conversation of the greatest coaches of all time.
Ooh.
Oh my! You cannot tell me that he would not be in the greatest coaches of all time conversation.
Would this be his first ring?
This would be his first ring.
For greatest coaches of all time?
First ring, 221 career rings. That's 6th all time.
Okay. See, that's a debate for after the fact. I have 3 questions for who wins. First question is, what have the Chiefs done in the last 2 games in the first half or in the first quarter?
It doesn't matter. They've come back and they don't.
All right, no.
I think if anything, it shows that they're better built for this situation because if they get down, they don't let themselves get flustered.
Let me do my nice
and they come back.
Let me do my nice deductive questioning. Just state the facts. What have the Chiefs done in the first quarter / first part of the second quarter of the last 2 games?
I don't think it matters. I think it's actually good.
Just answer the question. Straight up. Just answer the question. What have they done?
They've done nothing but.
No. In the first quarter and the first part of the second quarter, what have they done? They have fallen behind significantly.
But Nathan, a football game is 4 quarters.
Yeah, I know, but you're not letting me get to my point.
Well, then what's your point?
This is the first question.
What's your point? Okay.
Answer the question.
No, what's your point? Go ahead.
They have fallen. I'll answer it for you. In the first quarter and first part of the second quarter,
I can't believe this is happening
fallen
right now.
behind significantly. Now, what can you not do against teams that control the tempo by running the ball and playing good defense and will keep you off the field? Fall behind significantly early in the game because it's hard to come back when the other team is controlling possession and controlling the tempo. And now, 3. What team is really good at running the ball?
He's a magician.
What team is running the ball, really good at running the ball and really good at playing defense and really good at controlling the tempo? The San Francisco 49ers. So the Chiefs are going to fall behind early because they've come out slow the last 2 games. They're going to do it again, and they're not going to be able to come back this time because the 49ers are too good at running the ball and too good at playing defense, and they control the tempo too well. And also, if you think about who they played in the divisional and the AFC Championship, the Houston Texans are notorious for choking in the playoffs. And Bill O'Brien is notorious for making bad decisions, and that was his worst coaching game I've ever seen. Despite the week before, all the stuff he messed up against the Bills, and they still got away with it. And last week, kind of last week, in the AFC Championship, they played the Titans, who had a nice run, but by no stretch of the imagination are an elite team. So
it doesn't matter.
They managed to come back.
Season. The Super Bowl is like a new season.
It is, but they managed to come back against those guys, but they will not come back against the 49ers.
I don't know.
The 49ers will get up and they will put the nail in the coffin. And
okay, then what do you think your final score is going to be?
I
didn't get my final score. Chiefs 24, 49ers 21.
I will go 49ers 34, Chiefs 27.
Okay, so you're saying that they're going to hang in the game. You just said that they're going to put the nail in the coffin and run away with the game.
Well, I think they'll keep it close, but they'll never give them a real chance to win the game.
Okay.
It's not like the Chiefs are going to not be in the game.
No, I want to say the contrary.
They're just not going to let them come back.
I think the last 2 weeks have prepared the Chiefs to understand that even if they fall behind, there's a lot of time left in a football game, and they can come back.
But you're also not playing the Titans and the Texans anymore. You're playing the best defense in the NFL.
All right. Football is football, but all right. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, what are we going to talk about when we come back?
College basketball.
All right, we'll talk a little bit about college hoops, and then we'll get into our That's Whack moment of the week. You'll like this one.
Pulling out the coupe at the lot, told him 12 swat, busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box, had to put the stick in the box. Pour up the whole field, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals, we been trapping like the 80s. So, got the cash out, told them wipe, but no, and I can back that. And I really wanna know where you at, where I was at back, where the stash at. Cruise the city in a bulletproof Cadillac, cause I know these out there where the bag at. Gotta move smarter, gotta move harder. Try to give me 5 mile water, I lay it down on my son, on my daughter. I had the Draco with me, Dwayne Carter. Lot of out here playing, ain't ballin'. I done put my whole arm in the rim, Vince Carter. And I know Poppy get a key for the quarter. Shawty barely seen the double C's, I bought her. Got a that looking like a Leah, she a model. I got the pink slip, my whip is keyless. Compton, I'm about to get the key to the city. Patty, light up the seat. Forgetting out the coupe at the lot. Told him 12 swat, busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box. Had to put the stick in the box. Pour up the whole field, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals, we been trapping like the 80s. So, got the cash out. Told them wipe it, no. Say slash slash. I won't never sell my soul, and I can back that. And I really wanna know where you at, where I've been moving them out and steal it with me, then he got the blues in the pouch. Took her to the forest. Don't wear no shoes in my house. The private I'm flying in, I never wanna fly again. I take my chances in traffic. No hands with it. I just made the rolling plane like a landing strip. I'm a 2020 president candidate. I done put 100 bands on Zimmerman. I been moving real gangster, so that's why she pick a crit. Shawty call me Crisco, cause I pop my got it out the mud. There's nothing you can tell me. Yeah, when I had a job, South Street wealthy. Yeah, I had the coupe at the lot. Told him 12 swat, busting all the bells out the box. I just hit a lick with the box. Had to put the stick in the box. Pour up the whole field, I'ma get lazy. I got the mojo deals, we been trapping like the 80s. So, got the cash out. Told them wipe it, no. Say slash slash. I won't never sell my soul, and I can back that. And I really wanna know where you at, where
Welcome back in to Kent and Coad. All right, let's talk some college basketball. So, what has surprised you from this season?
It's just chaos. It is entirely chaos. The Baylor Bears are the number 1 team in the country, and which I did not see at all at the beginning of the year.
Oh, no, neither did I.
I don't think anyone saw that at the beginning of the year. I don't think anyone knows what to make of anything right now, honestly.
No, I think it's kind of like the NBA regular season, that you're kind of just waiting for the postseason for things to shake out because the regular season almost doesn't really matter. I think you could look at any of these top 15 teams, with maybe the exception of a San Diego State, who hasn't really played anyone besides like their best.
But they're still 21.
They've won 21 games exactly, but I'm saying they've also, their best win is against the number 18 Iowa. So I don't know if they've necessarily played as many strong opponents. But on the contrary from that, you could take any of these top 15 teams and say this team could potentially make a really big run in the tournament. I think this year it's like a toss up, to be honest. I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen.
It's a toss up. I think
like Duke is number 9 in the country.
I think everyone is overlooking Duke.
You think so?
I think everyone is overlooking Duke because the thing about Duke is like
Mike Krzyzewski will have that team ready to play come tournament.
But will he? Because they usually they have a tendency to underperform in the tournament, Bobby. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Coach K has won national championships, but Duke tends to kind of underperform. I mean, think about last year. They had RJ Barrett, Zion.
To your point, Duke is number 2 in Ken Palm.
Yes.
In the rankings.
I think they're being overlooked because that is an extremely talented team. And Trey Jones, I mean, I guess he qualifies as a veteran in college basketball by Duke standards, even though he's only a sophomore.
Yeah, no, that's probably true.
That qualifies as a veteran, though. But Vernon Carey, think about all the 5-stars. They're really good players. You got Vernon Carey, Cassius Stanley, and Matthew Hurt. And I know they're young, but everyone's young in college basketball for the most part. and I still think Duke's being overlooked. Although I don't know. I can't say much because come tournament time, you don't, as great as Coach K is, you don't really know what Duke team's going to show up.
No, you don't. I mean, you could see an inexperienced Duke team with the freshmen, not being able to play to necessarily to the level that they need to, and thinking that they could necessarily just get by in those early games. I think that's where you see a lot of potential for upsets, and that's when a lot of upsets tend to happen in college basketball, is when these teams that are been hyped throughout the entire season.
I think social media plays a role in that too.
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, if I'm Cassius Stanley right now, and I don't know, remember that dunk you told me about? You texted me about that dunk that he had.
Has head up on there. He has head up on there.
Head over the rim, right?
Yeah.
If you see that dunk, you think you're invincible, right?
Yes.
Then when you get to when you get to the tournament and say you're playing like North Dakota State, you've never really heard of before in your life, are you going to be able to get that same motivation, that same energy and drive to be able to compete extremely hard in those games, because you're already looking ahead to the Elite Eight, you're already looking ahead to the Final Four. So these are the games that are kind of upset alert.
I think that's a problem with I think it's just a trend in college basketball, and that's a problem with. I mean, think about it. These kids are like our age.
They are.
If I saw myself like dunking on people on like the SportsCenter Instagram,
oh my god,
and like scoring like 30 points, I would have a pretty big ego too, and like think I was like the greatest thing ever. Like I don't blame these kids at all, because it's easy like with social media to get really like a really big ego, and sometimes their egos are justified because they're that good. But I think it's also like it's a distraction, definitely, and I think it can cause you to overlook certain things and take things for granted, especially for a lot of those kids that are like 5 stars coming out of high school. Because that's been a trend in the last five years or so, is you see all these big accounts hype up all these high school kids.
I don't think it helps at all.
Make them seem like the greatest thing ever.
We've been watching Zion Williamson dunk since he was in high school.
No, yeah, exactly, and you see it with more high school kids too. I mean, Zion's a freak, and he's a special case, but you see it with kids that are like, you see it with a lot of kids getting hyped up on social media. I think that plays a big role in how they view themselves in college, and how they perform in college, and the process that they take, and the mindset that they take into games and practice and the tournament. And I think that's kind of why you've seen the reemergence of experienced teams winning tournaments and winning a lot of games in the last few years, because you've seen like
look at Villanova, who's taken 2 titles in the last 5 years, because they have established veteran leadership that comes from the top, and it comes with the juniors and senior guys who stay on the team.
Yeah.
And then mentor these younger players, and also have tournament experience, so they're able to help the younger players understand the perils of the tournament, understand what the travel is like, understand what the situations are like, the arenas are like, everything.
It's all coming full circle.
I mean, just like how college football is a junior-senior game, college basketball, when you have juniors and seniors, it's a really important thing. It's really underappreciated thing, I think, in the game.
I think it's key.
Because now you just see like a Duke, like a reloads every single season with these new top recruiting classes, like a Duke and Kentucky, I don't know, name another school. I mean, a Duke and Kentucky, that reload these classes.
Yes.
So
yes.
It's hard to also build contingency when you have that. And I think that's where the possibility for upset comes from.
I think
even though you play together for 30 games, it's still not a lot.
It's kind of that full circle trend. You see it in the NFL with like movement to spread offense, and now the 49ers and Titans and teams kind of moving back to run heavy offense. And I think it's
hard nose football.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And now you're seeing.
Well, and like remember the read option a couple years ago?
Yeah, it's all.
Like, the read option is impossible. Oh, but then also put your quarterback at risk. Now we're gonna go back to traditional offense.
Yes.
Oh, but then man, if a quarterback can get out of the pocket, it's great. We'll go back to read option.
It's all a cycle. You've seen it. You saw people move away from veterans and focus on recruiting these high level 5-star kids constantly, and creating this cycle of elite recruiting classes and trying to just win with young talent and reloading. And now I think you're kind of starting to see the start of a shift back to veteran leadership. You've seen it with Villanova. You've seen it with Virginia, winning titles the last few years. And I think I don't know. Kentucky's kind of faltering to me.
Well,
I mean, I don't know if you call being ranked. What are they right now? 13th, I think, in the country.
Well, for their standards, that's not very high.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've seen Kentucky kind of come back to bite them the last few years because they're not. They haven't been that elite.
25th in KenPom.
They haven't been that elite in the last. I mean, they're still a really high level program, but
with a storied tradition.
They've had some disappointing seasons, and this year they're not an elite team this year. To me, I've watched them play. They can't shoot. They're really bad at shooting, which also I think
teams come tournament time.
I think the shooting thing is also a product of that whole young guy approach, because you also see all these kids. Well, you've obviously got kids that can really shoot the ball.
I love how we're saying kids and we are kids.
Yeah, exactly. You've obviously got players that can really shoot the ball in high school. You have elite shooters that are young in college basketball, but a lot of these guys that you see teams like Kentucky recruiting and teams like Duke recruiting are elite athletes who might not be that good at shooting, and they still manage to score 35 points a game in high school because they're just more athletic than everyone else.
More physical, bigger
players.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
And I think you're kind of seeing that bite Kentucky this year because they have recruited a lot of highly touted guys like Emmanuel Quickly and people like that who can get to the hoop, who are good ball handlers, but they can't shoot well. And that's also a problem. And I think, I don't know, Kentucky, they have not been that super elite Kentucky of the last couple of years. And I think some of that has to do with just this constant recruiting and guys leaving and recruiting and guys leaving. And I think we're starting to see a trend back to development and keeping guys for 4 years, although it's hard with a lot of these kids because they want to go to the NBA, they want to make money. But, I mean, you've seen teams like Virginia, like I said before, Villanova.
This could get into a bigger discussion about just the NCAA in general and how the structure is incentivized. And if you're a young player who's got a lot of talent as a freshman, I know this will get into a bigger discussion. Maybe we don't want to go into this now. But if you've got a lot of talent, are you going to necessarily want to stay in college where you're not getting paid?
No. This is why you're going to see that trend emphasized even more. Because in the next couple of years, the NBA is going to allow high school kids to go straight to the draft again, I think.
But then also the NCAA is almost trying to combat that with allowing them to profit off their likeness.
They will, I think, it's not up to the NCAA.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to the NBA. The NBA rule is you have to be 19, you have to be 1 year out of high school to enter the draft. And I think you're going to see the NBA get rid of those restrictions, which means a lot of the top 5-star kids are going to go straight to the NBA. And then you're going to have guys going into college who want to develop, who want to learn, who are going to stay there for 3-4 years. And it's going to become extremely veteran heavy again.
So when you're saying when the NBA allows for players to come straight out of high school, those who want to go to college will be the ones who are more committed to be.
Yeah, all the 5-star kids are going to go straight to that NBA. And guys are going to go to college because they're not ready for the NBA.
And
they need to develop and they want
to
yes, they need to develop, they want to develop, they're committed to the school. So you're going to see a trend back to junior, senior leadership and veteran teams winning championships, which you're already seeing right now, but it's just going to be emphasized even more, I think, in the coming years. But yeah, I think when you're looking at teams, for me, what I'm looking at with teams this year when I'm picking my bracket is experience. You have to have the right blend of talent and experience, but I think you definitely need experience. Because for a lot of these kids, I know they play in EYBL and USA Basketball and all these elite circuits, but there's nothing like the NCAA tournament until you actually get there. Mm-hmm. Even if you're playing a 1 seed, playing St. Bonaventure Eastern Western State University in the first round, it's the NCAA tournament, and you've never been there before. And you need some experience to handle that. So I'm going to look for experience when I'm picking my bracket, and I think you're going to kind of see the more experienced teams rise at the end of this year. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, and you also think about the fact that these guys are kids like us, and it takes time to know how to make good decisions in games, to know what to do when you're losing, to know how to handle yourself in a tournament situation. So I'm going to look for that experience factor when I'm looking for teams at the end of the year. But
I agree.
That kind of divulged into a bigger discussion.
Well, I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, that's true.
All right. You want to talk about That's Whack?
Yes.
You want to read it? Go ahead.
Troy Aikman says, the Dallas Cowboys, quote, could not have hired a better coach than Mike McCarthy. And he thinks that the Cowboys are going to be highly successful with Mike McCarthy at the helm. And, you know, I had to read this article because I thought it was like clickbait, and he was saying it in the context of they didn't have many other options, and Mike McCarthy was the best of the options they had. But no, I think he genuinely thinks they could not have hired a better coach and a better fit, which is whack. Because,
well, what's he supposed to say? I mean, he's an alum of the Cowboys. He was one of the best quarterbacks in their history, and he's still heavily involved with the Cowboys. What's he supposed to say? No, I think the hire's terrible, and then never get invited back to.
No, but that's like the most vanilla. That's the most vanilla hire they could have made. Mike McCarthy was boring. He's boring.
Well,
he was boring in Green Bay.
Lincoln Riley would have wanted.
He won a Super Bowl. Okay. He won. Fair enough. He won one Super Bowl in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, but also to that point, he won one Super Bowl in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers.
Man, they've had 20 years of Hall of Fame quarterback play.
Aaron Rodgers, who is the most talented quarterback and who has been the most talented quarterback in the NFL. And he won one Super Bowl with him. And the Packers were usually like pretty good, but he won one Super Bowl, and at the end of his career, they were terrible. And Matt LaFleur came in, and they were 13-3, although they did have a weak schedule. But besides the point, Mike McCarthy was like the most boring hire they could make. And it's also the Dallas Cowboys. They go for flash. They go for the entertainment factor. And they need someone who can revitalize that offense.
Well, they need someone who can be a puppet of Jerry Jones, and that's exactly what I think Mike McCarthy might
No,
be.
that's what they did. Jerry Jones hired a puppet.
As long as Jerry Jones is the owner and is okay. Well, no, I'm going to separate. I'll say this: if Jerry Jones can be the owner, that is fine. I'm not telling him he can't be the owner. What I'm telling him is as long as he is involved in personnel decisions, as long as he has press conferences that are more entertaining to watch than the actual Cowboys themselves, and as long as he has press conferences after games, it's not good. I think it needs. There's a issue that starts at the top. From
no. This is the thing. Jerry Jones is a good GM.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good GM. His problem is he doesn't want to relinquish any control to the coach.
Mm-hmm.
He wants a puppet coach, which is a problem. He's a good GM. I think he should still be the GM. But I think they should have hired someone like Lincoln Riley or someone who's going to give like some spark to the offense, because you cannot have that kind of personnel on offense and be that boring on offense. And I think that's what Mike McCarthy is going to be. It's going to be boring on offense. And there's so many like better coaches, offensive minds than you could hire. Mike McCarthy's a decent offensive mind, but he's not anything special. And I think they're just going to waste their talent again. It's going to be the same thing. They're going to go 8-8, maybe make the playoffs, and then just lose right away. So I don't know.
I would love to see that.
I don't know what Troy Aikman's talking about, but
all right, let's do some pick'ems.
Hometown check-in.
Hometown check-in. You want to do hometown check-in? All right. Sure. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, the Ohio State actually won a game, so I kind of want to do it.
All right, go ahead.
They beat Northwestern, Bobby.
Oh wow, big steps.
My parents and my brother were at the game.
They actually
we got to witness the rare occasion of an Ohio State win in the Big Ten.
Wow.
The fall from grace has been astronomical. They're number 2 in the country. Now they are 13-7 and 3-6 in the Big Ten and in 4th last place, I think. So I think they're still projected for an 8 seed or a 9 seed on Lenardi's latest.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Which, you know what? It's their classic. They'll win the first round game and then just lose in the second.
I'm not picking against them first round.
You shouldn't, because they win in the first round. They beat South Dakota State 2 years ago as a 5 seed. Last year they beat Iowa State when they were a 12 seed. They lost in the second round both times. So don't pick them in the second round. And the Bucks are so good. The Bucks are so good. They scored 150 points, 51 points tonight without Giannis. And Chris Middleton scored 51. Who I've been highly critical of Chris Middleton, but he scored 51 points, which is pretty impressive. On 20, hey, James Harden, he scored 51 points on 26 shots. It's possible. Well, shooting well over 50%. He was 16 for 26. That's efficiency.
Wow.
16 for 26, 7 of 10 from 3, 12 of 12 from the free throw line.
This man over here is sitting back in his chair and has just put his hands over his mouth like he has a microphone, like he's trying to, expound just to the world that James Harden needs to
Bobby,
lower
Chris
his
Middleton
volume
shot 16 for 26, 7 of 10 from 3, and 12 from 12 from the line to score 51 points. James Harden, the greatest scorer of all time, is much more efficient than that when he scores 51 points. I'm just saying, it was just a little shout out to my favorite player, James Harden.
Yeah, your favorite player, that's for sure.
My favorite player.
Wow, yeah. All right, on my home front, Villanova, they're up to 8 in the rankings this week. I still don't trust them come March. As Mark has alluded to a number of times, they're a 3-heavy team. They rely on the 3 ball, and a lot of those, when that doesn't fall in the tournament, we've seen it time and time again, it just doesn't work out. Usually teams that are very reliant on the 3 ball either are boom or bust, and I'm afraid it might be bust. Eagles re-signed Malcolm Jenkins as my top priority. I do miss watching them play football, that's for sure. Sixers, hey, we just won a big game against the Lakers, and when LeBron became third in the scoring, that all-time scoring list, that kind of got overshadowed the win. But the Sixers are playing better ball as of late. I don't know, where are we still? We're right now 5th in the standings.
Congratulations, you moved to 5th from 6th.
I'm so sorry. Not every team can be 40-6.
41-6 after tonight.
Oh, wow.
Well, also according to you, the Sixers are the second best team in the East.
We are. We're the second best team in the East.
Yet they're in 5th place in the standings.
They're not playing up to their potential.
They never do, because Embiid doesn't try half the time.
Yes, he did. Embiid, I don't know what he put up tonight.
24.
24? I'd say that's trying.
That's true. But he doesn't always try.
24, 10 rebounds, 1 block. Okay, he tries when he wants to. All right? Yep. I don't know. Okay. Come playoff time, things will be different. All right. Let's do our pick'ems. I'm 18-7 this season.
And I'm 12-13.
Let's go!
Because I went 0-5 last week.
Yes, he did.
At least we have the recordings now, so Bobby forgot to write down his picks again, but this time we had the recording, so we could actually know what he picked.
Hey, throw us a subscribe on our YouTube channel. We'd appreciate it very much.
All right, Super Bowl. We already went through this. I got the Niners.
I got Chiefs.
You got the Chiefs.
Andy Reid's getting his first ring.
All right, Nuggets, Jazz.
Jazz are great this year. They're third.
I'm picking against you every time because I need to catch up to you, so I'm going Nuggets.
All right.
I have to catch you.
So you want to go over 5 again?
Hopefully I go 5-0 this time, but
all right,
we'll see.
Mavs, Rockets. I will go.
I'll pick first this time. I got the Mavs.
Okay, I'll go Rockets.
Are you just gonna pick against me too?
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
That's not very fun.
All right, fine.
Then I'll pick first. Well, you know I'm gonna pick the Bucks and Nuggets. Bucks.
I'll go Nuggets.
Okay.
Actually, no, I'll go Bucks. Bucks, you guys are pretty good. I'll give you that.
All right. And last game, 76ers, Celtics.
Sixers. Give me Sixers.
I have to go Celtics because I don't like the Sixers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I wonder about that.
Yes, really. That's fair. I think that's fair.
No,
they're kind of the Bucks rivals.
Kind of.
I mean, would I even call it a rivalry when you play in the second round of the playoffs? I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens this year.
Wow, when we play you in the
and you guys play us in the Eastern Conference Finals, in the Eastern Conference semifinals, or in the first round too.
Wow, we're not going to play you in the first round. We'll get home court advantage, and we'll have home court top 4 seed at the end.
Maybe.
All right. Thank you for listening in to Kent and Coad. For Bobby Kent.
And Nathan Coad.
Thank you.
Oh, we messed it up again. No, we messed it up again.
No, okay. You want to give the outro this time? Go ahead.
Thank you for listening to this week's edition of Kent and Coad. For Bobby Kent, I'm Nathan Coad, and we'll see you next week when Mark Delastrito returns. Thank you.
Wow, that was better.
That was much better.